They were right to not want to come back from vacation because everything they've said since then has been a disaster. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of OTR Vantage Point. I am your host, Mark Kelley from Kelley Defense and On the Range podcast. Make sure after this show, you go and check out all of the On the Range podcast past episodes and War HOGG Words of Wisdom as well. We have episode number 4 coming out shortly. Ever since the press corps and the administration have met since the evacuation and the unrest that has ensued, quite frankly, chaos, they've been disasters. These press conferences have been absolutely disastrous for the country, for the world view of the United States at this moment. And I know it's a tough task. I don't want to get too much into the politics and the policies of the pullout of Afghanistan and the current affairs. I want to make sure I pull Rick in on that. We're going to have a full episode on the Range podcast. He's been out of town, just haven't been able to make it happen, but we will make sure we get that out there. I started watching the press briefings, as many of you have, and some of them were quite shocking. The president's address, the White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, and the Homeland Security Advisor Jake Sullivan have just been terrible. But I want to direct your attention to one in particular exchange from John Kirby, the Pentagon Press Secretary, and an Afghan journalist, Nazira Kamari. Now, the reason I want to direct your attention to this particular exchange was how moving it was and how real it was for the people of Afghanistan, and in particular, young girls and women. Now, keep in mind, the occupation of the United States has been 20 years. So a vast majority of the young people, young girls and young women in Afghanistan have never lived under the Taliban rule. So think about that. They've been living with the occupation of the United States. Freedom. Now, all of a sudden, the Taliban's in charge. And you can just imagine the terror. And it was very moving, and she is just absolutely beside herself when she was addressing John Kirby. I suggest you go watch it, and it really brings home how serious it is for these young girls and these women. It makes you realize how silly, and we've pointed this out before on the show, because it's not real. Some of the oppression that's being spoke about by some of these social justice warriors in the United States. The fact that they put their situations in the same breath as true oppression, as like we're about ready to see here in Afghanistan, and quite frankly hasn't ended in many other parts of the world for young girls and women, is absolutely ridiculous. And some of these corporations have to be feeling buyer's remorse. Some of these brand ambassadors, it's not going to be a good look. For you to go out there and to put yourself in the same category as what these true oppressed people are going through, it's quite frankly, it's embarrassing and it's a joke. So I'm looking forward to see what's going to happen with some of these corporations who have signed on. You know, some of these corporations include Subway, Netflix. It's going to be interesting to see what happens to them. Nike. I don't know. You know, maybe people don't care. Maybe people really do not care. But this is what it really looks like, true oppressions. Instead of talking about and losing in court about equal pay, and hey, we can do things better. We can make ourselves improve in all aspects here in America. But there are young girls and women, some of them who have actually attended school all the way through their childhood and college since we've been there, that are never going to hold a book again. Never going to hold a book again. No one outside of their family are ever going to see their face again. So it's not a good look for these guys. We'll see what happens. Hey, leave me a comment below. Make sure you subscribe to all of our channels in our series at the On the Range podcast at War HOGG Tactical and Kelley Defense, and leave a comment below and tell me what you think. At the very least, do me a favor, share this video. Have a great day, guys.